Tell me some of the biggest issues, Dad, that you see between young bosses and older employees.
Well, actually, one of the similarities can cause a big issue. An example is that 60% of the younger and the older want to have face-to-face communication. But if you realize that in the workplace today, there's so many people, so many fewer workers, and each one has so much more work than they would have had even 2 years ago, that there's not time for that. So therefore, they'll probably go to their second choice. And the second choice for younger managers is going to be 35% say they prefer to have email and text. And less than 30% of those who are older like that method. So can you imagine a person who's older is waiting for their appointment next week with their boss to discuss an issue, and she is waiting for him to text or email her tomorrow?
Oh,
another
boy.
example, that's going to cause a problem. Another one is that younger professionals, 61% expect a promotion in 2 to 3 years, and 53% think they only need to stay at a job for 3 years before they move on. This is very different than older professionals, and often they then, so if my supervisor, my manager, expects a promotion, he's ready to move on or she's ready to move on, and I'm thinking they ought to stay here and develop and know, it becomes a question of generational definition of what's loyalty, what's commitment to the company, and maybe even what's quality.
And what about this one? Dad, let me jump in just for, it's kind of weird to be interrupting you. But let me just ask this question. You know, let's talk about the traditional workday, right? Because older workers are used to a more traditional workday. Younger workers, they like the flexibility. Sometimes they're bringing the work home like I always used to do. How do you navigate that if you're an older worker with a set schedule? You got to get home to the kids, and yet the boss is thinking maybe you're going to work that night.
Well, even the younger workers may have to get home to the kids, but they also go home and work. And so the difference is that what you have to do is to have a conversation with your boss and say, your manager, and say, look, how do I react when you email me at 9 o'clock or text me at 10 or 11 a question? How do I know if you need me to stay up tonight and get it done so you get the answer at 2 in the morning, or if it's okay to get back to you tomorrow? How do I differentiate between that? Because not only are they working later, but they're also communicating later. So it's not unusual for managers who are younger to email and text and send information at 11, 12 o'clock at night, because that's when they're working at home. And they don't feel it necessary to be in early in the morning. Whereas many of the older workers do. About only 24, 25%, the 24 to 34, 25 to 34-year-olds don't feel it necessary to be in work on time. What's important to them is that the quality of work and the work is done.
Okay.
So if you have quality work and work is done, you don't have to be there, whereas the older workers may be accustomed to that face time in the office being the thing that gets them valued. It's
now, let me ask you this. For people who are going into work tomorrow and they're saying, okay, how do I deal with my younger boss? I'm trying to deal with resolving conflict. Give us 2 or 3 tips that they can use.
Okay, the first one I'd give you is first check your own filters. If you're older, make sure you don't have some just kind of subtle bias or jealousy against the younger manager, because that can turn your subconscious thoughts into a resistance that prevents you from working together. Number 2, I'd suggest that you listen carefully when assignments are given. It's really important because sometimes younger workers use code words that you may not be accustomed to. So you have to slow that process down. Make sure you ask, can we go over this again? Make sure I've got the assignment clear so you're really doing what your younger manager expected you to do. Press for specifics. And the third one, to be honest, you have to commit some of your professional time to learning the preferred style of your manager. Yes, the manager has to learn what you prefer because the manager has more power, they have more responsibility. But you, as the older worker, have to say, what is her or his preferred style? How can I start to use that when I want to make the key points? Because you want to make it easy for him or her to value what you're saying.
All right. I feel like we've had this conversation more than a few times. Dr. J. Otis Smith, Dad, great to see you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it. Stay positive.
All right, take care.